You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast,
delivering a player experience news.
Let's go!
What is up, guys, and welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 295. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter, and I am joined over Discord by the Nintendo aficionado and hardcore casual himself, Roshan Warner, at Roro.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you, as always.
Good to see you.
And later we will be joined by the host of Large Popcorn and video producer at The Gamer, Christian Macias at ISO Christian. He's in the chat waiting for us. And resident Embark Glazer and my fellow Spartan Gage Dempster at Gilbo Biggins with two S's, right?
Stop. Just stop.
Well, maybe.
Reporting for duty, sir.
Did you write down the password?
Yeah, it's now Gilbo Biggins with two S's. That's true. It is that. It just hurts that it's that.
Incredible. Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/@podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. The topic of the show this week, guys, is pretty much our whole show this week because there is a lot to go over. But it is Summer Game Fest 2025 announcements. We have a lot of announcements to get through. I have a couple of docs that goes through both SGF and the Xbox Game Showcase, so we can kind of go through them piece by piece and see what excitement we got out of the events.
Hell yeah, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Get into it.
Oh, Christian dropping something you didn't know in the chat. Yeah, we'll mention that. All right. Let us get started here with Jeff Keighley's event first, and we are talking about his Friday event. And okay, we will not talk about anything Capcom until you're here, Christian. We will not. We're starting with SGF. That's at the end of SGF anyway, so we should be good there. We live reacted to this Gage on Friday. I was in the hotel room and we were reacting live to this. Overall, what were our thoughts on it? Roa, did you watch it after the fact as well?
I'll just go real quick before you
Sure.
guys go into it. I did not watch it live. I didn't go through the whole thing. I did kind of what we're about to do now, which is go like on Wario 64 and look at the highlights, anything that I thought were announcements that I was interested in. I watched the trailer as well. But yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing live. As I'm sure you guys will talk about how you guys felt about the show itself, but it seemed like it was a long one. It seemed like it was a meaty show.
It was long, yes. Gage, what were your thoughts overall?
I thought overall the showings, the games that were present, was totally fine. There was a couple of standouts. There was a lot of games that don't speak to me. But it's cool seeing that like there's a lot of games from smaller publishers and smaller indie devs that are being shown. The biggest thing I'll say from like the showcase experience watching the whole thing is that, and this happens all the time with everybody, is that they had a huge pacing issue. I felt like it started off with a couple of good showings and then like the entire middle, we'll say 60-70% was just kind of like lull and then spikes up at the end, which we see all the time at different press conferences. But aside from that, I would say it was totally fine. It didn't stand out to me as a really dull year like we've had before. It didn't stand out to me as a really exceptional and hype year, with the exception of maybe the Capcom thing we'll talk about later. But yeah, I thought overall it was totally fine, passable showcase.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you as well. I think that there were individually some good announcements in there, but I think it did get held back a bit in terms of pacing and like even like certain announcements that we'll talk about here in a minute. I personally wasn't a huge fan of how they did it, which we'll go into that when we get to that. But um, yeah, their big reveal, I feel like I was like, okay, I get why they did it. Like they're trying to like kind of toy or like I don't know, surprise people, but I don't. I don't know. I don't feel like they needed to do that. It was kind of like stringing us along a little bit. I felt like.
I I want to say something before we get into like the meat and potatoes of this. A lot of times there's like controversies and ethical concerns in the industry, and I feel
Mm,
like we all, and I feel like most of us in the podcast kind of agree that we'd like people with influence to kind of speak up on these topics, but there is an element of when you think about it, it's like realistically when you're in the industry and you have to, not only make but keep connections and you have to have sponsors, there is a certain element where your hands are kind of tied for stuff.
mm,
But I think, and I'm not trying to headcanon my way into saying that this is why Jeff does this, but I would like to shout out that I really like this trend because I think Jeff did this last year at SGF, or maybe he did it at the Game Awards too. I don't know, but yeah, no, I think it was SGF. I absolutely adore that he starts off the showcase with this kind of big splash screen of the 10 most popular games because it's something that he can display neutrally and sort of like it's not going to get him in any hot water with the people that he has to interact with in the business, but it's such a great way to show and put on blast that like, hey, now more than ever indie games are what's popular. People love these smaller devs taking these creative chances, and I don't know, just seeing that big screen behind him, knowing that millions of people are tuning in to watch, and seeing that the number one game this so far this year was Repo, and the number third game
yeah,
this year was Schedule One. I love seeing stuff like that. It's just a little bit. It's just moving the dial a little bit in my mind. Maybe I'm just fucking crazy, but it's just moving the dial a little bit in terms of like, hey, you guys, to the big publishers, you guys need to step your game up a little bit.
sure, absolutely. Yeah, and it is cool to see indie developers being spotlighted there, and for good reason. They're the ones killing it right now, and are what are keeping people interested and coming back for more. So. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know how to drag this out anymore. Christian told me to drag this question out. He's about to join, but he's still not in here, so I don't know. Phil, don't move on. Fill time for 2 minutes. He just to set me. Okay.
And
Well,
you know what? And he throws the splash screen on at the start of the show before anybody has the chance to tune out and get disengaged. Kudos to
yeah,
Jeff. All right, there's lots to criticize,
sure. Yeah,
but you got. I think if you're gonna criticize, you gotta also be willing to give credit where credit is due. And I
yeah.
love that Jeff does this. It's a small thing. Maybe I'm being weird and anal about it, but I really like that he does that. And I hope that this becomes a trend that sticks with the Summer Games Fest.
I mean, what do you think about Jeff, though? Like, as a person, is Jeff a good person?
He's better than most because he's Canadian.
Oh, he is
True.
Canadian. Yeah, that's true. I
He's a
mean,
I
good
think
old
both
Canadian
points.
boy.
but
2 points.
but does that make him good, or because my
It
president
does.
says that makes him bad? So
Well, I
hey, look, we
there
stalled
he
long enough. There
is.
we go.
Goodness.
There we
We did
go.
it.
Is it work? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
All right, there we go. There we go. Sorry about that.
Good.
All right, where were we? Last I heard, Gage was talking about the splash screen.
Gage
Yes.
was yes, yeah. Gage was talking about the
All right, there we
intro
go.
splash screen to Jeff's I wanted to say Game Awards Summer Game Fest event.
SGF. So I think you guys were talking about your overall sentiments, right? About like how
Yeah.
this year's SGF felt to watch. I forget who one of you guys just said it felt kind of long in the tooth a little bit. Like the pacing of it was off. I think that might have been Gage as well. So I just got back from SGF, and like that was the overall sentiment from everyone that I talked to there, that it seemed like kind of a light show this year. And sort of the like major announcements from some of the major showcases, both of them over the weekend, felt a little bit lackluster and like they didn't really nail the mark they were trying to go for. Not a lot of like the hype kind of moments. And even in the theater too, like those moments didn't really quite get the pop that I thought this year was going to get, which is unfortunate. Then again, though, what I think people were kind of sussing out throughout the weekend is like, well, for a long time, people did think that Grand Theft Auto was going to be coming out this fall. It wasn't a surefire thing, but we were all kind of operating with that assumption. And it seems like some of the sentiment is like publishers were kind of thinking the same thing. So you don't have a lot of things lined up for the fall because of what we thought was going to be GTA. And now that it's announced, right, things are starting to shift around a little bit. But like that might be one of the reasons why the showcase might have been a bit lighter, a bit lackluster, because Jeff couldn't get the deals for like major things happening in the fall because publishers didn't even know. So that could be a reason why it wasn't as strong as like last year's or something.
Fair enough. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. By the way,
I'm still trying to set up the 4-person scene here. I don't know why I'm worrying about the video because I don't know. Did you hear us talk about the video being a shit show?
I brought
Christian?
Dan a gift. You guys want to see Dan's gift?
Oh. I don't know if people will be able to see it, but
But you will. You
Yes.
guys will. I brought him a little of a Vault Tech aluminum water bottle that I think Dan might like.
oh
That's
yeah.
pretty sweet.
And
Very
yes,
cool.
Phil Spencer does appear to have lost all that weight. He looked his jawline looked crazy in person.
Yeah, he looked way more healthy, like Gage and I were talking about on the Xbox reaction stream. For a while there, he was not looking very healthy. Not to try, not to judge the man, but you do notice these things when they're in the spotlight.
Yes.
Why is that? I just realized I had double audio, I think. Maybe. Okay, sorry. I've got one more camera to fix real quick. Um, but while we're on the topic here, uh, of first reactions, what were our first reactions to the Xbox event? And then we'll dive into all the SGF announcements.
Okay, I'll jump in. Xbox felt very similar to SGF in that it was mostly fine. Some pacing issues. I think people might online. I haven't seen the Twitter thing yet because I keep losing my Twitter account. So I didn't see the reaction as it was happening. I'm guessing that people are probably harder on it than they need to be because the show ended with a really bad taste, which was the abysmal fucking decision to have Call of Duty be the one more thing. That probably hooked everyone's opinions down a little bit, not to invalidate how people feel, but I think overall the showcase was just fine. I don't think it was exceptionally bad. I think it had a couple of really big standout moments. The Outer Worlds 2 looks incredibly impressive. We can talk about that later. Yeah, I mean, it was totally fine. I did notice I was skimming the YouTube chat, which is a horrible idea, I know, but I was just wanted to see what the normies were thinking as it was coming, and the amount of people that don't understand when the showcase ends and when the direct begins was insane. The amount of people that were like, "Why are they still talking about Outer Worlds? Where's Forza? Is Gears next? What's happening?" And I'm like, guys, they said this. They said this at the beginning of the showcase. They said that they mentioned when the showcase was ending. They mentioned that the direct was starting. That like I don't know what's going on here.
I think this is the one I was most let down by. I think Xbox has been doing such like strong showcases for so long. Like they have great partnerships that when this one rolled around, I felt like it was even more of the same kind of lackluster announcements for like I was getting from SGF. It was a lot of like the same. It was like video games of the game. Just for an hour and a half. Like I'm seeing more of like the anime RPGs and the nondescript open world like RPG, either third person or first person games. It was like over inundation of that, with none of them particularly like striking me. And I get that's just like a subjective thing for a lot of people. Like games like the Clockwork might have been a really big one and a really interesting one that might like land with some folks. It just wasn't for me. So yeah, and I think like showing off Silksong the way they did in a ROG Ally Xbox partnership thing, and instead of doing a trailer for that game, they just say, yeah, and it's coming this year. Felt like we haven't seen that game in so long, and this is how you say it's coming out this year is like par for the course of how I felt the entire showcase. Felt like just not enough punch.
And I feel like that was kind of unfair how they put the developers of the game in a bad spot there, because it almost seemed like they were caught off guard by that a little bit as well, because they had to like respond and say our game release is not tied to the new ROG Ally X as well, which if you're Xbox, why are you not communicating that with them and saying, hey, we're going to have this thing in there? Because they, I think, got caught off guard a little bit by that. It is a really weird thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think overall, I think very similar sentiments. I thought there was solid announcements for me, like Clockwork Revolution, like you were talking about, Christian. I'm very excited for that after this showing. It definitely looks like my speed. But overall, I think that there was definitely some to be left to be desired in the second half of the show, for sure, in particular. Because I feel like it started pretty strong, and then after the first half of it, me and Gage were like, "What the hell? Like, this is not this is not continuing the great pacing they set through the whole beginning part of the show." But yeah, we'll dive into that here in a few, though. All right, let's dive into the announcements here. So SGF for Jeff Keighley, his event that he put on. Let's just run down through it here, and you guys stop me if you want to talk about something. So without further ado, we start with a look at Mortal Shell 2, which is metal as fuck, apparently, according to PC Gamer. Coming to Steam in 2026. The first was announced at SGF 2025 from Swedish studio Cold Symmetry, and it looks absolutely grisly. A little metal track there too. And then we move into a little Hideo Kojima action. Death Stranding 2 got a brand new SGF clip. Me and Gage were making bets on how long Hideo was going to be on stage. It ended up being under 10 minutes. But we got another strong showing from this game.
Was it?
Oh, was it not?
I thought it was just two people talking in a room for 3 minutes and then nothing else happened. But I'm gonna play the game. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it.
I have a question, Gage.
Yep.
Why have you been logging on to PlayStation and just sitting there online for hours?
Because I thought my Xbox Series X was broken, and I got really stressed about it. And I was using it for... What was I using it for? I don't know, dude. I got laid off for a week. I was in a fugue state. I don't know what I was doing.
Because I have to do a lot of... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. I have to do a lot of like transferring footage from a USB on my PlayStation to PC like pretty consistently. And I was just like for like a whole like week, I just saw you like Gage is online and he's just like sitting there like not doing anything. I was like, what is this guy doing?
Now, here's the one thing I'll ask: does PlayStation? Because I know Xbox does. Does PlayStation only track? Will it only show you what your friends are doing if it's a game?
Oh, you know what? I think it used to show you if it's like Netflix or Hulu, but now it just
Because I
doesn't
also
do that.
did. I did binge the entirety of Deadwood in 1 week. So there's if you were seeing
That's
me
what it
on a
was?
lot, that's what it was. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Kirik, thank you for joining us. Yes, I know the stream's choppy. The video is going to be extremely choppy. The audio, I listened to it and it seems like the audio is fine. For whatever reason, this internet here in Florida has just gone to shit today, so the video is going to be nearly unwatchable. But if you just have us on in the background, you should be able to listen to us with no problem. So sorry about that. This internet is shit here, apparently. Um, okay. Moving on here. Chronicles Medieval hits early access in 2026 as we got a look at a new, mostly CG trailer, I think. This one looks kind of interesting. I think Gage and I commented on that live. Kind of a third person view, but it's kind of like an RTS. Sounds interesting.
Right.
These are the kind of games that are playing on like in the background of like a TV or a movie. Like just again, just some nondescript game.
All right. Sonic Crossworlds Racing gets a Minecraft collaboration and fits in a little Mario Kart diss. Unlike another kart racing game, this game will have online cross-platform matchmaking, they said.
Got
That
him.
got a good that got a good pop in the theater. And then I really popped for Miku, which I thought was an insane collaboration to start off the trailer with. And then everyone else in the theater kept popping off for Joker and who else was in it? Yeah, Steve and I'm missing
Yeah.
someone. I can't remember
That
who.
was Ichiban.
Yeah, from Like a Dragon. Yeah, Ichiban. Yeah, from Like a Dragon.
Yeah. Absolutely insane. I guess I don't know where the Miku. I wonder if like maybe they make rhythm games for Miku. But either way, like the collaborations are crazy. And this will be the racing game that I will have to play until I get a Switch 2. Which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at. This looks kind of fun.
I finally saw that console in person, by the way.
Me
Kind
too.
of sleek hardware. Yeah.
I got to play it this weekend, but I don't own one though.
I have mine. The only thing I've played on it is Tears of the Kingdom.
Nice. Gotta beat it.
You played it for about an hour and 15 minutes, didn't you?
I played it for like 2.5 hours on the car ride here.
Nice. Better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Then we got a look at Bandai Namco announced Code Vein 2 coming in 2026, which is the anime Souls-like combat game. Then we have End of Abyss coming next year from former Little Nightmares devs. Very interesting.
I think this looks kind of cool. Even though I'm not a horror person.
Is this the one
Yes, you
that
are.
is this the one that gave like Inside vibes, or is this something else?
This is like a
think so.
top-down shooter, like a
Is
twin
it?
stick, not twin stick, but like
Yeah, but I think it's the same game we're talking about. This is the one from
Yeah, I think it is.
the people that made Little Nightmares. Yeah, because we
Yeah.
thought it was Playdead at first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of sort of has that aesthetic to it, the weird monsters and stuff. There is a new Game of Thrones strategy game on the way, and the trailer reinforces how you'll be the one deciding how things play out. It did so by showing Jon Snow getting absolutely stabbed. I wanted to say slapped. So yeah, interesting that it's actually like an alternative history version of Game of Thrones, and I think it's an RTS as well.
It is. I was not sold until I saw. I actually don't think they showed any gameplay during the show. It was. I think I pulled up the Steam page to confirm that it actually was an RTS. That has me excited. If I was getting mobile game vibes throughout the whole trailer. I was like, they're gonna do a bait and switch, but hey, this looks interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to you. This was like when I was most down on the showcase.
I was down on it as it was happening because I thought it was going to be something stupid, but after the fact, looking at the Steam page, RTS, I could get into that.
For me, it's like 6 years later, we're still doing this fucking Game of Thrones stuff. Like we can't just like let this go from anything.
very-
you know?
See, it's the lore, man. People like the lore.
Right, but like.
I think it could lend itself to a interesting RTS too, because you could have some interesting leaders, and the fact that they're not like tied down by the story of Game of Thrones, they're just doing like an alternate history type thing. I think that's kind of interesting.
I'll say this: you could be right, Christian, but that mentality was the exact same reason I didn't watch Andor. We're still doing this whole Star Wars thing, really?
Hey, you know what? That is a great thing to throw back. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This will not be Andor, but yes.
This will not be Andor, but I'm waiting for a piece of. I will happily get some sort of piece of media at some point that reinvigorates that sort of. Oh yes, this is something good that takes place in this universe with these things that I already know.
All right. Then we got an announcement that Atomic Heart 2 is in development officially. The alternate history Soviet Bioshock-like is clearly jumping into the future here with more cyberpunk flair added to it. Mundfish. We saw Mundfish a lot in this show.
We did see Mundfish a lot.
They don't have a separate thing for it. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Are you gonna the cube?
Yeah. I guess did they announce that right after this?
It's in the same it's in the same little thing.
Okay. Yeah, the Cube, an MMORPG shooter set in an atomic universe on a massive levitating cube where the edges are constantly rotating to create unique gameplay combinations that are ever evolving.
Of everything Mundfish showed, this was the thing that I was like, oh, this looks kind of interesting, actually. Like, it seems like it totally could just be a battle royale shooter or, be the last one standing, whatever it is, that ends up being totally generic and, like, forgettable. That's totally within the realm of possibility. But, like, something my brain kind of lit up a little bit where I'm like, oh, this is an interesting and new idea for a map to have. Instead of the circle closing in or gas or whatever, it's like this giant Rubik's Cube that keeps shifting. That's neat. I haven't seen that done before, so I think they get kudos for being a little bit original in that sense.
Then we got a new trailer of Onimusha Way of the Sword. It's got us another look at the game.
Yeah, put a pin in that one.
Put a pin in it. All right. Then we got Felt That Boxing, which is a foul Muppet-like game. Which was kind of goofy because I think Jeff introduced this and he was like, "I love Muppets," and then I was not expecting it to be a boxing game. It's just very, I don't know, very strange.
I did not like. I both like and really dislike the art style at the same time. I think you and I were joking about this at the time, where it's like it's a new kind of uncanny valley where I didn't like how my brain couldn't tell if it was real puppets or not. I don't know. It made me feel weird inside.
Well, they were real. Like the developers talked about how like they made these puppets, and then like I don't know I don't know. I'm not smart enough. I don't know how they do it, but like you know what I mean?
Photogrammetry, they
Mhm.
scan them in or something like that.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I was kind of into that one.
Oh,
This one.
well, get ready to box with Christian in Muppets.
It
Kidding,
was
it's
funny
not
though that
Muppets.
I saw a tweet somewhere where it was like Jeff hyping up like a game, and then like this is what the game ends up looking like, and it was like a picture of like that Nickelodeon show or whatever, and like this was literally that moment. They're not a lot of people are into puppetry, I guess.
No, that was I feel like that announcement was a really big deal for him. But aside from that,
Yeah. This moment, Gage and I think, both had similar reactions because it started very interesting. Killer Inn is a 24-player social deduction game from Square Enix. And it sounded interesting, like, who did it type of game. But then it started to move into like people were just shooting left and right, like nonstop. And I was like, all right, is this gonna turn into a
yeah,
deduction game, or is this a shooter?
or is it a reduction game? This is I saw a narrow path when I was watching this where I'm like, I immediately thought of games like Lockdown Protocol, where I'm like, oh,
Right.
this looks like it could be really fun. And then as soon as somebody pulled out a gun and started shooting them, I'm like, oh, we would have like 1 or 2 sessions of playing this game properly, how it's supposed to be, and then it would just devolve into people raging and shooting each other and just being unfun in general.
I
I
love
saw
the
this trailer
premise.
and had its me too, me as well. But also, yeah, I think Gage is onto something where like it could break really fast. But
Right.
when I saw, I was like, we should get really into Gmod for like a weekend.
Yes.
That would be fun. You know, Trouble in Terrorist Town over on Gmod. That'd be
Hmm.
cool.
And then this turned into a trend, which is let's all release our game in October. Our Creators has an official release date of October 30th, the day before Halloween. We got a new trailer and a date.
And then they
I'm,
apologized over the weekend.
they
They
did. They
apologize.
did.
What did they apologize for?
You
You
want
want
me
to
to
take this
jump
one,
in?
Gage? Yeah.
Yes. And this kind of leads into my sentiment for what they showed is that they kind of overhyped a little bit and then underdelivered. The
Mm,
community, so they did their own ARG thing where if you had I didn't follow it that much, but if you had, I guess if you had gone to one of their websites and copied a code, it brings you to a secret website with a countdown. The countdown
oh,
was leading up to when the showcase came off. So
oh,
people naturally were like, if you're doing all this effort, there must be some big thing coming on. And then I think so my key takeaway from this, even though we did predictions and I was like, "Oh, it'll come out in July." Um if you go back a few episodes, my initial reaction after playing the tech test and we talked about it on the PXN was that I hope they take even more time because the game already feels
Yes.
amazing.
right.
That was my original thought. So for the sake of Summer Games Fest, I made a little it'll release in July prediction. I'm happy about the October release date. That's
Mm,
fine. I do agree with the community that it seems a little bit like not only was there no tech test announced, open beta announced, but the trailer didn't even have like gameplay. It kind of seemed like a
Right.
really
yeah.
strange showing to do just a in-engine cinematic, but didn't really have that much lore to it. Like it was kind of like a sizzle reel. This is almost what I would expect from them like 2 years ago when they announced the game to be like,
Announcement.
oh,
Exactly.
this is the vibe of our new universe. So I think they fumbled a little bit in terms of their showcase and what they had to show. It does not impact my excitement for the game at all, though. Like the fact that they're waiting till October and they're not trying to rush it out to get ahead of Marathon or to do anything, that tells me that they are focused and they have a plan, and that actually makes me even more excited for the game, to be honest.
Very nice.
I will say part of it is the community over like reading a little bit too much into it and expecting it to be the release date. So it's a bit
Sure.
of an unfortunate thing. But yeah, I think the trailer was not a great. Yeah, I agree with you. It was a weird trailer that doesn't propel a bunch of excitement unless you're already dialed into Arc Raiders. Otherwise, you don't know much more about the game if you hadn't even touched it. But we
Right.
do know they also said that we're doing one more thing before release, like one more technical test or whatever. So that's coming.
Yeah, I'm also excited that they're giving this as much time as possible to cook. We've all enjoyed what we've played, so more time is never bad. Although the timing, as we'll find out here, fucking too many games in October. Uh,
Marathon.
yeah, I don't think it, I don't. I would hope Marathon's not releasing in September, but we'll see.
Oh, that is September. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I hope it gets delayed to next year,
Yeah,
but
probably not.
probably not
Yeah.
at this point. Yeah, I don't know. All right, Chrono Odyssey has a Steam playtest starting on June 20th. The next generation action MMORPG has already been announced, but the news here is you'll be able to play it very soon. Wuthering Waves Update 2.4 launches on June 12th and has a trailer-worthy update landing on June 12th, just 6 days away. Metroidvania Mio Memories in Orbit has a demo out now. It is a 2D platformer out this year.
No idea why they put the word Metroidvania in the. This is just an editorial thing. It doesn't matter. Please move on.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why they did that either. Odd. The puzzle platformer Out of Words is coming in 2026. Heard some good things about this from some people. This claymation type co-op platformer with stop motion esque art.
I think they also talked about how this one has a friends pass, which is an exciting trend for
Mm,
some co-op games of this kind of scale, which is cool.
that is cool. I didn't
The
know
art
that.
style's awesome.
What did
Really
you
cool.
say,
Very
Ro?
like Coraline vibes. I said the art style is awesome. I
Oh,
love
okay,
the stop motion.
absolutely, yeah.
Dun.
Dantodon the game. Wanna play? Out now. Just
I
kidding.
hope so.
Just kidding. Lego continues to make a new franchise here with Lego Voyagers and the reveal trailer here. I think who was it that was excited in our chat? Was it Keurig that was excited about this?
I don't think anyone got excited for it. I think you and I said that Glenn will be excited when he
Oh,
sees it.
okay, maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
This is the team that did Lego Builders, the single player game, isn't it?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I'm fairly sure. Lego Builders Journey.
Yes, you're right. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, which made this announcement like immediately perk up. Um,
Interesting.
this seems cool.
Yeah, I think me and Gage initially were like, what the fuck's going on? And then as we saw what was happening, Gage was like, this is actually really cool.
It did grow on me. It did grow on me over the course of the trailer.
Yeah. All right. Then we got a look at Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny, which is a crossover beat 'em up uh, with a bunch of Nickelodeon characters in it. Then we got a shadow drop first of the event, Lies of Peas DLC, which is available right now. Play it, the Overture DLC.
I have it.
You have it.
Yeah, for work. I got it for work.
Nice. Very nice. Doki Doki Literature Club meets Silent Hill is this game Fractured Blooms.
They're kind of sweeping this under the rug for some reason, but like it's also the Doki Doki Literature Club devs, is what I'm hearing.
Interesting.
Or I guess just the one guy.
Oh,
It's the one guy and his 18 friends.
yeah.
That was a different game, but yeah, that was yeah.
Yeah. This Call of Duty was made by one guy and 3,000 of his friends.
It was closest friends.
That was awesome. All the memes that came. Uh, Anyone else have trouble keeping up with the SGF anime block, which we got a bunch of trailers back to back? Blade and Soul Neo, new Warlock class is coming soon. Blade and Soul Heroes out in September. Crystal of Atlan, One Punch Man crossover is coming June 26th to July 26th. And The Seven Deadly Sins Origin, which is an open world action RPG coming in 2025. Then we got an announcement of Jurassic World Evolution 3 coming October 21st. You know what? I'm excited for more Park Sim for Jurassic Park. Let's do it.
Don't do it, Dan. They use generative AI in this game.
Oh,
Oof.
I did not know that. That's unfortunate. And it's not in Game Pass, so I already told Gage I was immediately out because it wasn't in Game Pass. Um, that is sad to hear though that they're using generative AI.
I don't know the extent of it. I don't know the extent of it, but it is one major thing, but I forget what it was.
Gotcha.
Someone did a write up about it over the weekend. I was like, why? Doesn't matter.
All right. The next game from Shovel Knight's developer has a demo that is out now. The game is out on October 31st, and it is Mina the Hollower. This is the one
A
that was
year ago, they were
pixel
like,
art.
we've got news soon, and here we are, 1 year later. Finally, bro, huh?
Finally, it's about time. Looks good. Looks good.
One of us, or both of us, has been picking this game up in fantasy draft like every year since we started doing this.
Finally.
Does anyone have it right now?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Interesting. Uh, I like how PC Gamer labels this as, let's just pretend Deadpool VR isn't happening. Deadpool VR was announced with the trailer, and that game did not look good visually. I mean,
Did not look good at all.
did not show
This
well.
looks like the type of game that would have popped the fuck off in 2013 when VR was just becoming a thing.
Mm. Yeah, needs some work there, I think. This was one of Ro's predictions. Glad to see we got some points on the board here. Dying Light the Beast was announced to be coming out in August.
And I thought this was DLC, by the way, just a brand new game from Techland.
Yeah. Started out as DLC and then grew into a bigger game. A classic coming of age movie in game form. I don't know why I said form. Form, if I could speak. Mixtape. Got a trailer as well here. Kind of gives
Put a
me
pin in
Life
this
is
one.
Strange vibes. But
Guy who's only played Life is Strange. That's some real Boss Baby. You know what I mean? Guy's only seen Boss Baby.
I did say to Gage that when they were throwing toilet paper, I was like, "This looks cool." The toilet paper physics and throwing
Put a
it
pin in
over
this one.
put a pin in it.
We saw
Put it
this
in.
at a different game show, didn't we? Like,
Last year's Xbox showcase.
right.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, still looks good. I like the. It's not stop motion. It's less frames, animating on twos.
Frame interpolation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looks cool.
Everybody loves doing that now.
Yeah.
Tawa in the Guardians of the Sacred Tree is a roguelite from the developer behind the Mana games. I think Is this the
This is
game
the
that
solo
looked?
dev game.
I think this is the game that I was like, it kind of looks like. No, never mind. I'm not gonna say because I'm not gonna get chastised for it because I'm watching the trailer. I'm like, nope, that's not it. uh, Acts of Blood got a little trailer here and looks pretty good for a solo developed game. Kind of gives that actiony vibe of Sifu a little bit.
It was giving a little Sifu vibe for sure. This is the one I thought the animations looked pretty punchy and like
Hmm.
really kinetic. This
This
is the game that was made by one guy and 9 of his friends. I think this is the one that
Yes.
yeah,
this looks more Batman, I think, than Sifu.
fair. Yeah, a little bit Arkham. Yeah,
Yeah, I could see that. You kind of get sucked into the animations a little bit, like Batman as well. We got a brand new Scott Pilgrim game, Scott Pilgrim EX, which is a new beat 'em up game. 4-player drop in, drop out co-op with 7 playable characters.
PC Gamer also skipping over that they had a Marvel Cosmic Invasion trailer with introducing some new characters, and also,
Cool.
well, that might be embargoed. I can't say the other thing, but yeah, this was exciting because I think we really enjoyed the Shredder's Revenge game together.
Hmm.
I don't think we played the Power Rangers one, but these guys do cool work.
Oh yeah.
They do.
The first Descendant breakthrough is officially coming in August. Holy shit, I'm reading August and saying October. Not sure what, because there's so many games coming in October. That's why. Um, we, we got a new trailer for, was it Mind's Eye that used the Mad World trailer? Because of course PC Gamer doesn't actually. Okay, yeah, it does.
It says right
Yeah,
there. I'm sorry,
Mind's
Mind's
Eye.
Eye.
Yeah,
yeah, incredible.
all around me are familiar
That should only be in
faces.
Gears of War. Everyone just hates on that game because they're paid by Rockstar to hate on it.
Not because it looks like it. Not because it looks like the action
Yeah.
adventure equivalent of Deadpool VR.
Did you see there was a streamer that got a promotional advertisement with them to stream it, and then they literally pulled it right as he was about to start streaming it?
Yep. It was
No, I didn't see
co-founded.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was literally about to start playing it, and they're like, "Oh, nope, no, we're not." And then he switched switched the game
Yeah.
because everybody that was playing it, because the game kept crashing for people that were playing it. So basically, they were advertising people to play, so people weren't actually buying the game after they watched people play the game. Had the opposite
Yeah.
effect.
Incredible.
Incredible. 20-player Sea of Thieves in space game Wildgate is out on July 24th. We got a new trailer for that as well. A lot of Sea of Thieves like games, seems like, with that and well, I guess Jump Ship has a little bit of influence of that, right? Was it Jump Ship? I don't
Yeah.
know. World premiere Blighted from Guacamelee Studio. Drinkbox, of course, they they've traditionally made quite different games, I think. This is the one that looked like Hades, I think, or gave me
Yeah,
vibes of Hades.
guy who's only played one isometric, getting real Hades vibes from this.
I
Their first
mean,
3D
yeah.
game.
This next one was my highlight of the show, and hopefully some others as well for you guys as well. Ill got an official announcement and trailer, and it looks very, very cool. Very, has a lot of dismemberment, very much survival horror-y, and the dismemberment is what was like really catching me. Like the one shotgun when he shoots the dude in the head, and he has like flesh hanging from the top of his head. I was like, this is insane. This looks awesome.
Yeah.
This-
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please. I
I,
like to
the,
hear you speak.
the what? Now I'm blushing, dude. Um, as I was watching this, I was like, oh, it's cool. It seems like they are making a whole game around like the coolest section that you'd find in a recent Resident Evil game, where like you go into a basement and now you're fighting the certain type of enemy that only shows up here, and you're like, wow, this is really scary and creepy and gross, and then it devolves into other Resident Evil stuff after. This so far seems like a game where it's like, yeah, let's just do all of that and make that the whole game, which could be really cool. Very, very creepy and unsettling. And I feel like if you're playing this at like 12:30 a.m., all the lights are out. This could be fun.
I got real abandoned vibes from this trailer. And by that I mean this looked entirely pre-rendered to me. Like all of it was fake.
It could be. Yeah, Abandon kind of opened the floodgates for like, not trusting trailers again, I guess, that are at major showcases. I don't know. I didn't. My radar did not get blipped from that, but I didn't. Yeah, that totally could be a thing.
Uh, yeah. I was not familiar with who made the game. They formerly worked on projects like Long Legs, It, and V/H/S/Beyond.
Oh, it's a film
Mon-
studio,
I
or
guess
that's
so.
what they have their experience.
Yeah,
Right.
I
and
guess
this is the
so.
one Munfish was publishing.
Right. I think that's correct.
It's
But
funny
that's
because I want to
interesting.
say like, oh well, if Munfish is publishing it, they probably couldn't sneak a fake game into that. But Sony backed Abandon, which is crazy.
No.
Anything's
Honestly,
possible now after that.
good for them for duping Sony.
Get your bag, dude.
Yeah.
That one guy for months. No, it's real. Stop. Please stop. Get your bag, dude.
Remember he said he was using it to like get fans of Abandon to play Rainbow Six Siege with him.
Something like, yeah, he started a Discord
Yeah.
server. That's the whole thing. He wanted people to like
Yeah.
him. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I hope that this footage is real because I feel like it does kind of demonstrate like their cinematic behavior in terms of like how flesh is reacting to certain shots. So I hope that this is actually real. Supposedly they were teasing this like 4 years ago, and they just now announced it. So guess we'll see in due time. Mecha Break launches July 1st. Got an announcement there. We got a new announcement of Infinitesimals. Infinite
Infinitesimals.
Infinitesimals? Infinitesimals. Fuck me, I don't know. Uh got an announcement trailer, and it's basically Honey, I Shrunk the Aliens is how PC Gamer puts it, which is just a bunch of alien insects or whatever shrunk down to small size.
I was weirdly really into this one because if you remember playing It Takes Two, there's that whole segment where like the squirrels have like they've built this like technology inside the tree and they have like their weird like nature tech. To me, I like the serious tone of these bugs and they're like sci-fi tech, but also like they're just like fighting, things that are out in nature. Something
Mhm.
about it, I don't know. There's a charm to it that I'm kind of gravitating toward.
Then Capcom comes out and says, we're confirming a new Resident Evil is coming, but it's not quite ready. Just a blink of an eye more, and it'll be ready.
This is a bad strategy on their part, which we'll talk about.
Just the blink of an eye.
They just
All right.
yeah.
Street Fighter 6 Year 3 brings Sagat and Sea Viper to the fight. I guess Alex and Ingrid also. I don't know who any of those characters are, but there you go. Any shooter with a flag immediately captures my interest, according to PC Gamer. This game is called Last Flag. It is a third-person 5v5 shooter, which definitely feels like it took a bit of a cartoony inspiration from Team Fortress 2. For sure, I could see that. So there you go. Capture the flag. This did not look that exciting to me.
No.
Wu-Tang, Rise of the Deceiver got a teaser trailer, a co-op action RPG with an anime-style fighting.
Me and the guy behind me for like half the trailer thought like, oh my god, we're getting a new Def Jam game. That's crazy. And then it was not that, but still cool.
A film noir, Yakuza, officially titled Stranger Than Heaven. Got a trailer here. Project Century was called it was called Project Century, sorry, last year, and it was going to be set in the early 20th century, but it's now set in 1943.
This was one of my favorites of the showcase. Like I thought this is a great reveal.
Agreed.
And then we close the show, and Jeff starts getting excited, and I'm like, Gage, what the fuck? This has to be a huge developer. Is this Half-Life 3 or something like that? And I kept saying Half-Life 3 because I was like, I don't know what else is fucking huge. Like, what else is Jeff getting excited about? And we didn't think it was Resident Evil because of them
Ah,
saying, well, no, hang on. Initially, we didn't think initially that it was Resident Evil because of the Capcom coming on stage saying we needed a bit more time. But Gage, yes, did say, like, this looks like the RE engine when we saw the hair. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
agree. It looks like RE engine, but why would they fucking do that to us? And they did. They did dupe us. This was Resident Evil 9 Requiem, which is coming February 27th, 2026. The reveal itself, I was very excited about. I loved the trailer, and I'm excited about the direction this game seems to be taking. However, the decision to dupe people like that, personally, I wasn't a huge fan of that. I don't think that that was a good way to do it, especially when they had like an ad in the middle of the show with Lady D where she was advertising that there was a price cut for the other Resident Evil games, and then they came out and said, "Oh yeah, we're working on Resident Evil, the next Resident Evil, but we're not ready to announce it yet." It's like, okay, we could have done without that. Like, I don't know.
it's weird because like in my mind when the Resident Evil 9 trailer started playing, I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe they were doing this to try and like get ahead of leaks, and you know, maybe if it leaked and they wanted to try and keep that surprise. But even still, I feel like it would have been more effective before, if you were going to do a bait and switch before the showcase, if Capcom had released a tweet or something saying, hey, we know you're all excited, but don't get too excited. And then at the end of the showcase, drop it. It was
Right.
weird to do it in the showcase because it
Yeah.
hadn't leaked
Right.
up until that point. So it's like you guys were really worried that in the second half of the Summer Games Fest that it might, like, it was weird. I'm not
Yeah.
super bothered by it. I thought it was kind of cheeky, and like I was mad in the moment because I had gotten fooled as a person watching it, but afterwards I'm like, yeah, they probably felt pretty good about that.
We did get a bit more information that it's a new era of survival horror, implying a departure from both RE2 style and first-person RE7 8 style gameplay. It's still connected to existing RE stories, and there's rumors already online. Obviously, you play as the one protagonist, but then the second protagonist, you are people are saying that you're going to probably play as Leon, is what the leaks have said online, which is interesting.
I don't think so.
You don't think it's interesting
Interesting,
to see Leon
really.
again?
I don't. No,
We'll
no.
see.
You're not saying. You're not saying. I don't think it's interesting that you're playing as Leon. You're saying I don't think you're playing as Leon, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
gotcha.
Oh,
Um, I think that is true. Because I mentioned this to Dan. Actually, I didn't specify it because I didn't want to spoil the surprise. But I had read a leak. I want to say like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, that was talking about the next game is going to be this new female character that's new to the franchise. And it's going to take place in a nuked. You're going to go back to Raccoon City Police Department after it's been nuked, blah blah. And then that leak also mentioned that you will be playing as Leon. So if it's from that long ago and they got enough stuff in the trailer right, I'm leaning towards that they probably will bring back Leon. And I think they're doing it intentionally because Resident Evil 4 remake was so popular that they're kind of like, because they've got this weird roster of characters, of main characters in the Resident Evil franchise that they seemingly just kind of swap in and out at random. Like you could kind of any of the last four Resident Evil games, you could kind of swap. I'm talking about the original ones, not the remakes, obviously. You could kind of swap out who the main character. Like Ethan could have been Leon for the most part, and that game would have not really changed, in my opinion. So I feel like after Resident Evil 4 remake comes out and people are on that hype train again, I think it makes sense that they're gonna bring Leon back into the spotlight. But that's just me.
very interesting. Very
I
interesting.
have an idea. What if we made FPS great again?
Let's do it. Answer me this? When was FPS ever great?
2009, Modern Warfare 2.
That's a pretty good answer.
We did also get some more information from news outlets this morning, I think, that you will also be able to choose between first or third person as well, which is
I now
Put a pin.
you mentioned in the group chat, Dan, that I should be excited about this. I am not excited about it yet
Oh,
because the fact that they're doing it from the get-go, maybe things will be different, but there is a pattern of games where if a game is developed, if it is a single player game that is designed to only ever be in first person and then
right.
they add a third person thing later, it is a pattern and most likely that it will look not great. It will not be immersive enough for me to want to choose that over it. Dying Light is another franchise that does this. If you play Dying Light co-op and like any of your friends is the one to like interact with a door or something, and it's like this really cool first person animation for you, but then you're the person watching it happen, it's like super stiff and janky, and like only the things in the player's view is animated well and everything else your character's kind of just standing perfectly straight. I got a little bit of that vibe. I tried to go back into Resident Evil 8 when they added the third person mode, and it did
I
not
feel
do it
like,
for me. It was very stiff and janky. So I'm hoping that
yeah,
if they're doing it from the get-go, that
right.
they will actually take the worldview animations into account.
Yeah.
If that's true, then this will be huge for me. This will be absolutely huge. But I am not holding my breath yet.
I can continue that thought in a later segment.
Hell yeah.
Sure. I feel like also, like you're saying, I feel like if they're doing it from the get-go, because I think like tacked on third person view never seems to really work that well. But like, yeah, like you're saying, as long as they give it care and attention, hopefully it'll look good.
Yep. Avowed is another great example too, recently, of a game that very clearly did not have third person in mind, and then when you play it in third person, you're like, oh, this looks a little janky. Let me just switch back to first person.
Yeah. Okay. That's SGF. Um, we are already running late on time. Is there anything that you guys saw after SGF, like Day of the
Yes.
Doves, or anything like that that you want to talk about?
super quick. I did not realize how late we're running. Holy crap. Yeah, Future Game Show. I threw that on kind of in the background while I was doing some house stuff, and I was really shocked out of nowhere to see that there is a
Oh yeah.
seemingly big budget Expanse game coming out. Was really impressed with that showing. I tried to get into the Telltale Expanse game. It didn't catch me, unfortunately. I might give it another shot though. I didn't really give it a huge. I didn't leap into it, but I absolutely adore this universe. Like we were talking about with Game of Thrones, where it's like I am so sold on the lore and the universe that if there's a piece of media that takes place in said universe, I'm kind of already like, all right, well, I hope it's good. So this looks really good. I'm not super familiar with the games that the studio made, so I did some researching first before I got excited. And their past releases are like mid 70s. Their most recent release I think was in the low 80s. So could be good. I liked what I saw. And then the only other thing I'll mention from the Future Game Show was that the final season 7 trailer looks pretty good. They're adding a lot of quality of life features that people have been asking for, and in terms of balance, both the light class and the heavy class now have gadgets that can heal teammates, which is going to make, I think, team comp a lot more exciting for competitive play. Yeah, so I mean, hey, Embark Glazer, I got a glaze.
Yeah, the Expanse game does sound very interesting. I agree. I didn't see that trailer until you sent it to me, and I think I was on the road and I watched it and I was like, yeah, this looks really cool. It kind of gives, like a lot of people were saying, vibes of Mass Effect, which I love Mass Effect,
Yes.
so that would be awesome to get an Expanse game like that.
Do you want a Playdays breakdown now? Because you said other stuff from like Day of the Devs and other showcases,
Sure.
or
Yeah,
after the Xbox stuff.
yeah, just do it. Let's just do it now, and then we can run through the Xbox stuff after.
Okay. So I got to see like quite a bit of stuff at Playdays. Some stuff was announced. We already knew about, right? We announced at other showcases. Some stuff was announced from these showcases that just happened over the weekend. I'm gonna run through them in like reverse order from like I guess least interesting to the most interesting. I got to go check out Spine. You might have seen a trailer about this game. It looks like the same like that game that you said was made by one guy, but it's actually a bunch of his friends. Batman meets Sifu, but it's gun fu. So you're fighting with like dual pistols, like John Wick style, and they're like a big fan of like Asian martial arts movies. So like part of your dodge or slash parry is like to like dodge a bullet and then shoot them back. And then do like cool stuff with like the camera changes. So there's a moment, if you've seen the John Wick 4, where the camera goes above the building that John Wick is in, and he's like, you're fighting from like top down, like Hotline Miami style. There's a segment of this game that like did that, where you have like a shotgun, and they're big fans of like those kinds of those Asian martial arts movies, and it was a lot of fun. Still early on, so it was a little bit rough, but like if you're a fan of like Batman Arkham games and Sifu and stuff like that, very much up your alley. I don't remember where this was announced, but it was this weekend somewhere. Lego Party, the Mario Party game, but with Lego, was insane. Was actually insane. This is a game that is all about like the randomness. You thought Pummel Party was like unfair or like like a lot of the bullshit. Lego Party ups it to another level. Like it is all about stealing from other people and getting a bunch, the golden bricks they call them. I ended up winning my session of Lego Party, and they gave me like a little Lego trophy that I have in my bag. This was phenomenal. I also got to see Mixtape, go hands on with it, and Ro, we were entirely correct from last year's Xbox showcase. This game has something special about it. I'm not the kind of person that was down on Life is Strange or is critical of Life is Strange the way other people are, but I can totally agree with people who are like, yeah, this feels like it was written by a game. It feels like you're writing kids, but you can feel like there's like a 30-year-old man behind, I see where that's coming from. This is not the case. This is like Beethoven and Dinosaur, like they did Artful Escape. They understand what they're doing. This feels like a John Hughes movie or like any sort of coming of age movie that like you saw in like the 90s or 2000s. It feels very nostalgic, but very authentic. and the things they do in the game to gamify it are insane. Like, so insane, I don't even want to spoil what the things are. But when it turns into like a game, you're seeing like characters talking, and like you do a thing. It is like, I can't believe I'm controlling this thing. Very exciting change of medium, and I'm kind of skirting around it, but like, you should be excited for this. This will be a very cool game, and I think it might be on Game Pass as well, because I think they said last year at the showcase that it was coming to Game Pass. So I would love if everyone checked this out. My game, I'm skipping over the Capcom stuff to say that my game of the show was Escape Academy 2. I loved the original Escape Academy. I thought it was so fun, and they expanded Escape Academy 2. So you do like the main escape room missions, but then in between going from one mission to it takes place in a school. The first game. The second game also takes place in the school, but now it's like an actual place instead of a menu. So in between, you can do open world escape room type activities that you get quests for. And it is so fun. Peter and I, we played this together, and we ended up beating the record at the demo. And so like they had like a sheet of paper that you could like write your notes on, and we got to like sign it and like place it right in the middle. So that was very exciting for us. The devs were very kind. And then, yes, so I got to go to the Capcom Theater at SGF and check out 3 games. Onimusha, RE9, and Pragmata. Onimusha, I'll start with Onimusha because I think that's the one you guys are least interested in. Looks incredible. It's awesome. I don't want to call it Souls-like, because that seems too reductive, but it's a character action game. You can block from everywhere, any direction. You can deflect projectiles and hurt enemies back. But what makes it really cool are the enemy types. They showed off. This was hands off. They and running on PS5 Pro. They had these enemies that are like ninjas, and when you deflect or attack them, it almost look like Naruto. Have you seen Naruto? And they do like the clone jutsu, and a bunch of clones are attacking you attacking someone at the same time. This was that, but with like ninjas in the game. And because it's like about Chinese. What's up?
I said, have I seen Naruto?
I know. And because it's like in like rooted in mysticism, there is a part where reality breaks, and the skybox in front of you just shatters into glass, and a boss like breaks through it, and you're fighting like in this like alternate dimension like boss fight, and you close it back up. It was very cool. I went from being kind of skeptical about how this game is going to like translate into a modern form to being like, oh, I feel very confident that they'll nail a great feeling game. You guys have stuff to say about RE9, so I'll leave that one last. Pragmata stunned me. I had very low expectations for this game because we didn't know what it was for the longest time. And it was maybe like a 20 to 30 minute demo. It seemed very much like gameplay slice. Like it might not be indicative of the actual like beginning of the game, but you get in there and you're playing as the engineer guy in the spacesuit, and there's an enemy in front of you, and you're shooting at it, but you don't damage it. You have like a little pistol. It's like 8 bullets. And you do 0 damage to it. And in comes this little like AI girl that you've seen from the trailer. And it turns out in the game, you play both characters at the same time. So she's like the hacker. So when you aim at an enemy, the game slows down to like 25%. And you can move around as the guy, you can shoot as the guy, but a little hacker interface shows up at the same time. And the way you like, it's like a square grid, as if you've played a Battleship, you know what kind of grid I'm talking about. There's a start and there's an end, and your objective is to go from start to finish. There are like stuff in the way that blocks your path, and there's also little nodes in there that can give you like an extra stun. When you complete the hack, you stun the enemy, and their like shell opens up, and you can see their weak spots, and now you can do damage. And the interesting thing about this game is that moving around as the astronaut feels very Dead Spacey. Like it feels very weighty. And they wanted this game to be like methodical, where like every encounter is a little bit of like a juggle, like puzzle thing. So when you have multiple different types of enemies floating at you, you have to be deliberate. Like, what do I have to do first? Which enemy do I have to hack first? And can I finish hacking this one before I dodge out of the way? Type of stuff. And they give you different guns. So like I had a gun that like threw a little thing on the ground that stunned them, and so I had a few extra seconds to like, I'm gonna keep this one at bay, and I'm gonna go hack the big guy. And I also had a shotgun. But the interesting things about all these guns is that like they take time. Like all of these guns take time to either reload or shoot. So it feels very like slow and methodical and purposeful. And I thought, I was like, okay, the Capcom nailed. They're doing something different. It's not like fast action. It's very slow. And I thought that was really neat. And then the demo ends like right before a boss fight, so I thought that was cool. And then yeah, RE9. I'm gonna send you guys a picture in the Twitter chat that is exactly what Gage was just talking about. With, hey, am I excited for this because it's third person? I don't know, because I prefer when games are deliberately experienced in the perspective that they're like designed for. Yeah, so the hands-off demo that I saw was Grace. At the end of like near the end of the trailer, Grace is like upside down on this like I don't know, like this what do you call it, like a hospital bed, and she's like tied to it or whatever. Huh? Gurney. Yeah, exactly. And so the trailer or the demo picks hands off as well. Some people did go hands on with it. The demo starts with her like cutting herself out of it, and it's a little bit. If you're a little bit squeamish, maybe some of it might be kind of gross for you, but she gets up and then immediately it's first person, and the lighting I was telling Dan, the lighting in this game is demonic. I don't like, it feels evil. I have not seen the RE engine be this dark, to the point where like if you have no light source in a room, you just can't see in that room. So I'm gonna send you and like Dan, you're right. The demo ends with like they hit start and they went to the options menu and they changed from first person to third person. Granted, these aren't the same rooms they're in the picture, but in first person, they were in a hallway where all they had was their little lighter as a light source, and you couldn't see anything like beyond in front of you. But when they switched to third person, I could see my character model just fine, and I felt safer immediately, even though it was the same hallway. So like I get it. If your preference is to play in third person, you can do it. I'm sure you'll have a fun time. But everything that they were doing in that game seemed to point towards, no, you definitely want to be experiencing this in first person. And it had all the traditional like sort of like Resident Evil puzzles, but like what Dan was saying is like he heard the game had a bit more cinematic moments. Yeah, so there are things happening where you're like triggering, like you enter a room or you turn on the light and then like the light bulb explodes and now suddenly it's dark. Or you enter a room and a bottle, like there's like something at the end of the hallway that you can't see and a bottle like goes toward you. Like, do you choose to keep going forward or do you go somewhere else? Mm-hmm. And they also introduced the Mr. X type character, which is like this 8 or 9 foot tall, like I don't even know what to call it, but it's looking like some kind of patient in this hospital. And by the way, they had like the 3D audio in this theater. Disgusting audio where like there are footsteps on top of you and things being thrown around, and like it's like the character is like freaking out. It's very scary. And this character can go through ceilings. It creates holes in ceilings. So if you don't run away in time, or if you do run away in time, you can see it like create a hole in the ceiling and go up. And so when you like leave the room that you were hiding in, you like look up and you can like see the room above you. They're having fun with this kind of Mr. X kind of character, and what seems like their scariest game yet. And I think the most important thing to talk about is like Grace is not a person who has a background with like weaponry. The only kind of weapon that she got in our demo was a bottle that you could throw to distract enemies, and like that's it. I'm sure you get a firearm at some point, but like it's going to be that Ethan Winters kind of RE gameplay maybe, where like at the beginning where it's kind of like you're swaying and it's hard to aim. I'm sure Dan is excited for this game.
Can I say something?
Absolutely. Say something.
If Grace is not familiar with weaponry and she's more of like a runaway type person, you know what would really balance that game out is if there was another character who was very familiar with weapons that you played as.
Leon, sure. And you know what? Maybe you're right.
A good way to break up the pace,
Yeah.
right? You had these really tense sections where you're kind of just cat and mouse, and then you break it up with like, okay, now we're switching to Leon, and you just kick the fucking door in with a pump action shotgun.
Right.
I think it's safe to say we're all very excited for this game. And Capcom has been cooking on a lot of their games lately, so no signs of them stopping, it looks like. Very good news.
Thank you for letting me ramble for a couple of minutes on
Absolutely.
on what I saw.
Thank you for reporting.
I was immersed in the rambling, dude.
Yeah.
I was painting a mental picture and talking about the footsteps. I was like, oh, do they sound wet and gross and walking around? And
I don't know how you guys felt, but I was like, when they showed that trailer for Requiem for the first time, and the first, like, I don't know, minute and a half is like just two like FBI employees just like talking about this case. I was like, dude, this is an entirely different kind of Resident Evil game they're going for. Like the tone of this seems pretty sick.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Can't wait to see more.
We should make Ro play it.
I would love that. I would love that. You know, you would probably actually dig it, I think. I think like if you got past, I think you will be scared because they are terrifying games.
Yeah.
But the actual like the vibes and like the mysticism of it, I think you might dig it.
I think
If we were all on the couch side by side, lights off though, and big TV, would you play that game? You know what I mean?
Yes.
A scary game.
I think I would.
We should have did that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do it sometime.
I've been starting to. I haven't gone off the deep end yet, but I've been starting to horror or creepy movies, but I haven't made my way over to games yet or anything super crazy. But yeah, maybe someday.
in.
When you said the ceiling thing though, I was like, oh god,
dude, I'm not doing a good job of like describing the horror, but like it's like if you look at some screenshots, I'm sure there's like some like major outlets that got their assets. I think I did as well. So if I can share them now, so I'll send them to you guys. I can't wait to play this on an OLED. That's how dark this game was. Yeah.
And Capcom continues to dominate that February time span, which is perfect for Resident Evil.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been saying this, it's a great time for people to, if you have a great game that you know is going to be a banger and you want zero competition, February is I mean, obviously, if you're going up against Resident Evil, that's one thing, but yeah, what a perfect time to release it. Yeah.
Should you work tonight?
I do.
Okay, we're gonna have to run through
I've got
this.
maybe another 5 minutes. I don't want you guys, but see, Dan, I know you're super excited about the Xbox thing, so I'll just dip out in 5 minutes. Wherever we are is wherever we are, because I don't want you to rush through it if you want to spend more time talking about it.
How about this? Why don't you guys start with what excited you most about the Xbox thing? That way you maximize Gage's time.
Okay.
Okay.
Gosh. I mean, what excited me the most was probably the Outer Worlds 2 Direct, because every single little thing, every detail about their inspiration of Fallout New Vegas, drawing very close parallels to Outer Worlds 2 with that, their new perk system, which draws inspiration from New Vegas. Even like their system where you choose like detriments to your character. Like I found a lot of those very interesting. Like you choose these attributes that are like gonna hurt your character, but also they uh give you boosts in other areas as a result of that debuff. And like some of the debuffs were pretty cool. Yeah, overall I just was very excited about the Outer Worlds 2, and then they announced that there is a third person mode for Gage. So
Oh yeah, we love to see it. Yeah, I've got like 4 games that I wrote down that I wanted to mention. The Outer Worlds 2, I'll just jump into that because that's the only one I'll spend like a lot of time on. We talk about like our love for devs that just get game design, and for me, Obsidian has been like that for a very long time. Obviously, Fallout New Vegas is my favorite Fallout game. It's probably no, it is definitely in my top 3 games of all time, and it has been in there since I've played it. Um, there, like when you have an RPG game, a big expansive RPG game, there's 2 types of trailers, right? There's one where it's like the Prince of Darkness has returned and will plunge the whole world into and the trailer's full of like set pieces and action and all this stuff. And then there's an RPG trailer like this one where it's like, hey, if you make your character a moron and you go up to a computer system, you have a unique option to hit it, and there's a 10% chance that you'll just activate it. Like when it comes to an RPG game, you can focus on one of 2 things, and I feel like Obsidian, they just know what to focus on. They spent this trailer talking about here's 3 different ways you can open a door depending on the skills that you unlock. Here's the perks you can take. You know, they showed like this bad knees perk where it's like, oh, you can move
That's
around
funny.
faster, but if you stand up, it emits a popping sound that alerts everybody. When I'm playing a game that is supposed to be player-driven choice, this is exactly the type of showing I want to see. This is a developer who understands what makes an RPG different than an action adventure game. So I was extremely pleased with the showing and how they were showing. They weren't just showing these cool, crazy set piece moments. They were like, no, here it's an RPG game. Here's all the RPG stuff that we do and that we spent time doing. So I was extremely pleased with that showing. And then the only other games I would want to mention, Blood of the Dawnwalker. Aside from having an absolutely awful title, I thought that looked kind of interesting. It looks like it looks like it could be fun. Super Meat Boy 3D looks awesome. The original Super Meat Boy was great, and this looks like a really thoughtful sequel where it's like, yeah, it's 3D now and all this stuff, but we're keeping the core mechanics and the charm of what makes Super Meat Boy Super Meat Boy. So that looks cool. And then the only other game that really stood out to me, I know Dan, you liked Clockwork Revolution, and I was kind of feeling it during the trailer, but then afterwards, I had like the post
Oh,
clarity, and I
you
was like,
read
I'm not gonna play it.
no, you read those
I'm
comments. Oh man.
I didn't read. I didn't. Christian couldn't sway me to do anything except kiss him. But I just really thought about it, and I was like, I'm not gonna play this game. I'm not gonna spend any time with this game at all, if I'm being honest.
Oh,
So no,
come
so
on.
the
That's too early
the
to
last
say
game,
that. It's too
no,
early to
it's
say
not.
that.
I'll. I don't even know if I'll check it out. To be honest, I can't even bring myself to say that. The
It's
only
not
other game
even
during the
you've barely
showcase,
even seen it.
I saw 20
We
minutes
saw
of it. What are
we
you
saw
talking
enough.
about?
We
You didn't
saw
see
enough.
20 minutes of Clockwork
It felt
Revolution?
like 20 minutes
We
of
got a
it.
CG trailer
Listen,
last year.
I watched the movie A Clockwork Orange. I get it. I get it. Anyways,
Yeah.
Mudang 2 Hearts, I think, is a game that I will check out and I hope is as fun as it looks. This was the game that looked like a mix between like Splinter Cell and The Last of Us, and as I was watching it, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of maybe it's just because we're all ready for another Splinter Cell game. It's been way too long. That totally could be it. But that it sparked the parts of my brain that it needed to spark, where I was like, you know what, I might give this a try. This looks like this could be fun. I don't know if that one's coming to Game Pass or not. But definitely not a buy, full price thing. But if it's on Game Pass, I will
It
probably
is
check it
not.
out.
It is not on Game Pass.
Okay. I will wait for reviews then. But it looks like it could be interesting.
Can't believe you just disrespected Clockwork Revolution. I'll get to that once we get to that segment, I guess.
Thank you for texting me during the showcase, by the way, Gage. That was a special moment for me.
I don't even know what I sent you.
Me think me go and clean this hole.
We can just keep that between ourselves, I think.
yeah.
Incredible.
Fair enough, huh?
All right. Do we want to run through the Xbox showcase then here, real quick?
You tell me, huh?
I tell you.
You guys should absolutely do that. I'm gonna head out though.
Okay. Okay. Bye, sir.
Wow.
Don't you dare.
What happened?
All right.
Uh,
GG's place.
I don't know if I'm gonna have exciting things to say about some of these.
Okay, okay. We could just talk about the ones you want to talk about then, if you would rather do that.
Sure. There's only two that I really wanted to talk about
Sure. Jump in.
myself, and one is not really that I want to talk about. I was just curious about your thoughts on it, but the one that I want to talk about is Persona 4 Revival, which I don't have that much to say about it. It's just one that I'm excited for. Um, I love Persona 4, love the remaster Golden, and one of my favorite games ever. My favorite Persona 4, favorite Persona game as well. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. I know the sentiment online was a little bit mixed, but I think it looked
Yeah.
fine. But like I don't know why it was mixed. I guess the what they showed off, which was very little, didn't look that impressive, which fair. Um, but yeah, it was like I need to see more, but I can see why people may have been. I feel excited. The Persona 3 Reload, I thought it looked good, so I imagine this will look good better. So I am not really too worried, but we'll see what they when they show it off a little bit later.
I also thought it looked a little weird.
Hmm.
But also like I don't know if I can judge it entirely off of like 5 seconds of gameplay. Is how I'm feeling,
Right? Yeah, that's how I feel
which
too.
is just yeah. So I'll wait. Um, what was the other thing you had a question on?
Oh, what you guys thought about the Xbox handheld or Xbox handheld in quotations?
I I found it so weird to call it that, given that it's a partnership with ROG Ally and is technically not part of the Xbox lineup because it it functions as a PC and not as an Xbox hardware. Um, I mean, it looks cool, I guess.
Yeah.
From what I've gathered, because it sounds like they've or at least temporarily suspended or canceled their own handheld plans. I would suspect they're trying to position this as their handheld because of them canceling or suspending their plans for their handheld. That would be my guess. Uh, Hopefully they supposedly their Xbox team is actually making significant changes for Windows for handhelds in particular. So hopefully that's happening. What's up? Okay, well the stream's terrible, so you can tell them that the video is not going to be very good. So if Grandpa's watching, it's not going to be very good. Um, so I suspect that's why they're leaning into the handheld aspect of Asus ROG Ally being their own because they're kind of suspending their own device. But
And I sorry, what were you gonna say?
that was it.
No, I was going to say that I can't imagine the Xbox handheld being that much different than what this is. You know, like what else could they do
Yeah,
that isn't playing
yeah,
Xbox games like this?
sure.
Anyway,
Yeah,
it's going to be a
especially
Steam
if
Deck with Xbox games on it.
Yeah, especially if you don't have like a dedicated OS for it. Like if they're going to continue to
Right.
make it a Windows device, then there's no real benefit to having it run uh, on something else. So, um, yeah, I don't know.
Can I run through a couple of things and ask them in forms of questions?
Sure.
How did you feel on High on Life 2? I thought it was kind of an odd trailer. And also, it's the first post Justin Roiland game or thing. Oh, no, well, there was an episode
Yeah.
of Rick and Morty with Adam already, but this is
Yeah.
like, I guess, follow up.
Yes. Yeah. I thought it was odd that they did like a CG trailer because like it looked really cool
Yeah,
visually, but like obviously that isn't indicative of the gameplay. Um, I enjoyed the first game, but it's not something that I would have bought if it wasn't in Game Pass. So the fact that the sequel's in Game Pass, I will probably play it just for that fact. but it doesn't like light the world on fire for me personally.
Now I have one for the both of you.
Okay.
Gosh, what is this company? What is that company? Game Freak.
Oh yeah.
Game Freak has
Pokemon.
a game. Yeah, I don't know what is this game? Beast of Reincarnation.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah.
How you feeling about that one, Ro?
I think it looks cool. I think it looks cool, like what we saw. It. But the very little that we saw, I thought it looked impressive. Again, like you said, it was Game Freak, so it wasn't something that I was expecting it to. I wasn't expecting it to look like this. Because there's the Pokemon company. They've made other games here and there, but they've always been like very cartoony art styles, and this is a little bit more realistic for them. But yeah, I'm interested to see more. I'm interested to see them do something other than Pokemon and see how that works out for them. Yeah, I was honestly impressed by it. I wasn't impressed in the way that I was like, oh, I gotta play this. I'm just impressed and wow, they can do other stuff. But yeah, that's kind of my takeaway from it.
We'll say
I know Dan was.
Sorry.
Oh, please.
You know what? What? I was what?
I know Dan was smiling hard to finally see Marcus for this Gears of War remake. I know we have there's a thing somewhere I know where one guy, either Gage or you, were saying it's going to be a whole trilogy, and someone else is saying it'll be just the first game. I have to go check our predictions there. But how you feeling on that Gears Reloaded?
Yeah, I mean, they already had it announced, so obviously we already knew about it, but it is exciting to have like
You're
cross
right.
progression and everything, cross play and all of that. But yeah, excited for more people to get to play it, and the fact that it's only $40 is pretty cool for new players as well. People that already own Ultimate Edition, I believe, get free upgrades as well on Xbox. So very cool. I think there's open beta the next couple of weeks to play the multiplayer as well. Some of my highlights, like Ninja Gaiden 4, I think looked really good and has me very hyped to play that game. I still want to play Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, but I've not had a chance to play it. I know, Christian, but
No, I would not prioritize that one at all. Is what I'm trying to
okay,
get at.
that's fair. But they also had a collaboration, as you were alluding to, with Halo for Halo Infinite, which the original Hayabusa armor from Halo 3, Bungie made that actually as inspired by Ninja Gaiden, and that armor was like adored by people because you had to do specific challenges to even get it. And I love the helmet is just great. I love that helmet. And so they've once again teamed up with Ninja Gaiden or Team Ninja uh, to drop a new version of the Hayabusa helmet, as well as one that's based on the Halo 3 helmet, as well as a version that is based on Ninja Gaiden 4 as well, which you can unlock fully just by playing Halo Infinite. You don't have to pay any microtransactions, which is a huge W for that. So, um, so that was a highlight.
There was
for
a game
me.
here at.
Sorry, what game?
There was a game at the showcase somewhere. I think it was. I thought it was the Xbox showcase. Maybe it's missing from the PC Gamer roundup, but it was. It's a multiplayer game, but it's asynchronous where you go into a world, but you're experiencing that world and following what somebody else has already done in that world. Do you remember what I'm talking about? It was like kind of post-apocalyptic.
I do remember that because I think it kind of reminded me of Split Fiction a little bit. But I don't remember what the game was called.
I don't remember what the game is called. I can't remember who the developer was because they did something. I think they did Open Roads, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes. That once you said that, yes, I do remember that.
Fulbright is the study.
No,
Didn't
it's
Fulbright?
Fulbright.
No.
Oh,
No.
okay. No,
Uh,
I'm thinking about
initially it was Fulbright, but no. Uh,
yeah, they changed studios at the end.
That game, whatever it's called, I think is one of my highlights of it. I'm very interested. If they can nail it, the experience, I think it'll be one of the most unique experiences of recent multiplayer memory, which could be really cool. And if it doesn't work, well, it doesn't work. But based on the introduction to that game, I think it sounds cool.
yeah, I don't remember what the hell the game was called. Um, can't seem to
Anyway,
find it either.
I
But
wanted to point that one out.
yes, absolutely. The other one I wanted to talk about, and I know Gage just shit on it, but I'm gonna bring it up anyways. I very much enjoyed the demonstration of Clockwork Revolution, and I know you guys may not agree, that's fine. But I think that In Exile is one of those studios that's up and coming, just like Obsidian was 5 or so years ago, like before Outer Worlds hit, and Outer Worlds was kind of their first like big hit, I'll call it, since doing South Park and doing their partnership with Ubisoft on that before that. But um, I am very excited with what I've seen from Clockwork Revolution. It gives me the Outer Worlds vibes in terms of its atmosphere and tone, but it seems to have its own persona. Like when we first saw the CG trailer last year, I got very much vibes of BioShock, like just from the CG trailer, like, or, an engine trailer, whatever you want to call it, before actually seeing like what the game was about and stuff. But now I'm very much getting like Outer Worlds mixed with like more of a deeper RPG, which makes sense from their lineage of their games. Um, they were the ones that made the crap, what's the game called? It's Fallout, but in an isometric view, like the old Fallout games, Wasteland. They were the developer of the Wasteland series, which is kind of on paper a smaller scoped project than what they're working on now with Clockwork Revolution. So I feel like this is their first foray into games, and in my opinion, this 5 minute trailer got me very excited for it. And I loved the little puppet character. I thought that he was very charming, very, very interesting. Something we don't typically see in characters. Um, I don't know. I like the vibe of this game. Maybe it's not a game to light the world on fire, but I'm very excited for the future of In Exile after seeing this.
Not every game needs to be,
For
you
sure.
know?
For sure. Of course, Grounded 2 got announced, which is just insanity that Obsidian is making 3 games in one calendar year. I don't even know how that's possible, but like
But
that developer just continues to absolutely cook, in my opinion.
so I had to leave during the um, Outer Worlds Direct to go back to Playdays.
Yeah.
Did they announce what the third game was?
Yeah, Grounded 2.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That was during the showcase. I'm a fool. I see.
Yes, yeah, they did the Outer Worlds Direct 2 Direct, and then they did the Grounded 2 Direct right after the Outer Worlds 2, so they had both of them at the end. And they went pretty in depth into Grounded 2 as well. And it seems like a pretty decent step forward from the first Grounded. Obviously, if you weren't into the first Grounded, you probably won't be into Grounded 2. It's very much of the similar type of survival game, but very cool that this developer continues to absolutely kill it on all of their teams, big and small. So hope they keep cooking over their Obsidian.
Wow, and that comes out before Outer
It
Worlds.
does. An early access. It's early access
Yeah.
just like the first game. Yeah. Very exciting.
I'm surprised Ro had no shout out for Aphelion, the Don't Nod game.
Oh no, I didn't watch it
It's-
live, so I didn't even know, honestly.
They have like a
So-
third-person sci-fi narrative game.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
And that looked interesting. I
Yeah.
thought for someone that's not a huge like Don't Nod fan, I thought it like the atmosphere looked cool and the Arctic climate kind of interesting. Um,
Those are the
and
highlights for
then
me.
okay,
Oh, sorry, I know, my mistake. Double Fine's game.
Double
Keeper,
Fine,
where you
yeah,
play as the like a lighthouse thing, or yeah,
yep,
was I mean, any Double Fine game is gonna like immediately like, oh, what is this about? You know what I mean? So
yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Aphelion looks pretty good. It reminds me of when Don't Nod did games like this, like Remember Me. I forget what.
that's right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's cool. Nice.
And just for sheer aesthetic alone, I'll just mention this game. The Invincible versus game. It has the Invincible aesthetic. I thought it looked good. It is just a 2D fighter, so in the vein of Mortal Kombat or what have you. But 3v3 matches looked like Invincible. And then, yes, they ended the show with Black Ops 7, which why that was the one more thing, who the hell knows? Like, that trailer was playing, and me and Gage were like throwing ideas left and right. Like, what is this? What could this be? And like, neither of us thought that it was Black Ops 7 because, like, we wouldn't have thought that that would be like a and one more thing type deal. But they did that. I guess last year they did the direct for Black Ops 6. So I don't know.
So when the trailer started and you see the robot, the word around the like pop around me was like Starfield, and
Oh,
then Milo Ventimiglia from Gilmore Girls pops up, and then it's like maybe this is Perfect Dark actually. And then when you have the reveal that it's I think Mason's kid,
yeah,
immediately it's like, oh, it's Call of Duty. And then yeah, right after is the logo, and it was like, well, yeah, very weird thing to end the show on.
for sure.
But they are I guess Xbox first party now. So
That's true. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think they need to be the end of the show unless they're the direct where you really feel like you need to go in depth, which I feel like that's only a mainstream decision that they do that. Like they want to, you know, I don't know, satisfy the mainstream. But I don't understand. Like Call of Duty is so big, just have Call of Duty do their own event. Like I don't understand why it even needs to be in this show. But
sure.
um, yeah, some notable absence though from the show would be Perfect Dark, Gears of War E-Day, Fable, uh, State of Decay 3, anything Halo. So like all those things in mind, next year's show is gonna be insane, I feel like. Because all of those things I think are gonna be at next year's show. And if they're not, I would be extremely surprised. So like while this year was like kind of a just okay, there's a few announcements, I think next year could have a pretty big showing from stuff we already know about.
But you also understand why like at least three of those things aren't shown this year. Like Perfect Dark has
Yeah,
restarted
for sure.
their their development. That one seems like closer to anything, but like we just got the announcement for Gears not too long ago.
Last
That
year,
still has
yeah.
time to cook. And then
Right.
Halo just formed their new studio with Halo Studios, and they're still pitching their whatever their next title is. I'm sure because all they had I think was concept art and stuff for like what their next thing could look like. So that still has a way to go.
Yeah, I think that that's closer than we think, though. They did just show like in-engine stuff last year in October, but I do think that I think it's going to be out by next fall. I think it's going to be the remake, whatever Halo CE
Oh,
remake.
that's valid. 100%. Forgot about that.
Yeah, but yeah, A lot of stuff still in the pipeline. All right. Anything else that we missed? I think. Do you guys just want to wait on Fantasy Critic and such until next week since we're already super late?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, when Gage is here. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Because I know we have a bunch of activity there to go into anyways. So cool. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we close out the show? Christian, how was your time overall?
It was really fun. Very draining because these days are like from 8 a.m. to like 1 a.m. So very lengthy days. A lot of talking. But I think the weirdest thing is that like, my hotel was for the longest time a block away from the LA protests. And then I didn't tell you guys this, but then during the weekend we couldn't get to our hotel.
Oh wow.
Luckily my friend's dad is like a Hilton employee, so he was able to book us somewhere else. But we couldn't get our stuff on like the last night. It was like trapped in the hotel. So it was very weird to be like, being in this like downtown space where like everyone is like talking about video games and we're playing games, and you would go outside and you'd see like this huge plume of like black smoke, knowing that like, less than a mile away are people getting shot at. So it felt like a little bit of a weird summer game fest in that way, where like having to juggle real life stuff with with work stuff. But when it was when I was present at SGF, it was a lot of fun. Despite it being kind of a lighter show, we made the most out of it and made a lot of cool connections with people. Giant Bomb was fun. Just a good time overall.
Cool. All right. That does it then for us, guys. Thank you to everyone who has joined us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcast. Sorry for anyone who is watching video this week. It will be back to normal next week. I know it was a rough go on video this week, but thank you, Ro. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Gage. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN.